Good afternoon, everyone. Sorry, I just need to quickly pick up a camera that I positioned on the floor in the hope that the cheetah would walk past it, and they certainly did. So we're going to have a cool little video that we got off this device, and we can now go catch back up with the cheetah, who have just woken up. They've been sleeping for the last 3 or 4 hours. They've been kind of up and down a little bit during the day. They are certainly very hungry, so that is something that we can all look forward to see them rectifying, is a little bit of hunting. They kind of semi-chased a zebra. It took us all by surprise, and I'm told they were also trying to get a meal earlier on this morning, unsuccessfully, before we arrived. We've been out with them the whole day. And it's wonderful to have you with us. My name's Scott. I'm teamed up with Manu on camera. We are in the Masai Mara in Kenya. It is a beautiful day, and we couldn't wish to be spending it any other way than with you and the Five Musketeer Coalition on the move. A wonderful, wonderful start. I just want to do a big loop ahead. We'll actually be able to get some good 2 shots of a Thompson's gazelle that spotted them. They're probably going to overlook it, even though they're hungry. They prefer bigger and or easier prey to catch, of which there doesn't seem to be much of in this big open valley. It's quite sparse of game, but that could change at any moment. A herd could come rolling in over one of the hills. Oh, I've just seen a wildebeest over there, a lone fully grown wildebeest, so that they might have their sights set on. We're going to get some incredible views now of this Thompson's gazelle spying on the cheetah as they make their way towards it. What a beautiful scene. Now, this is a live interactive safari. If any of you are joining for the first time, if you don't believe me, send through a question and we will prove that in fact this is happening this very second. And everything is about timing on safari, and your timing couldn't be better. We've been twiddling our thumbs for many an hour, and literally on cue, just before we welcomed you on board, they got up and started moving. Now, as wonderful as these views are, I wanted to start thinking about how to get across onto the other side of this riverbed. And I don't know this area very well. So let's go and do that now, sooner rather than later, because there is some possible prey. I've seen at least one adult wildebeest, and even though they prefer to take down a youngster, an adult wildebeest can be taken down by them. I'm told just about 4 days ago they wrestled with one for about 15 or 20 minutes, but couldn't in fact subdue it. We've just stop and take a quick look at this bird though, because it is very, very pretty. A saddle-billed stork. Wonderful. Look at those colors. Look at those colors. Good stuff. Well, we are going to send you from this beautiful bird down to South Africa with Tristan, who's viewing a nest of sorts.
Well, we do have a beautiful bird of our own, and it's such a cool thing. This little bird is coming right up towards us. Look, it's about to sit on top of some very well camouflaged eggs. Look, there we go. You see, there they are. And this Senegal lapwing is super relaxed. We are no more than, I would say, maybe a meter away from this nest, and we didn't actually even notice the eggs until this little bird ran away from us and the little eggs were exposed. And you can see the beautiful nest. Now, I will introduce myself just now, but let's quickly jump back across to Scott with those cheetah.
Welcome back, everyone. This poor baby eland. Oh no. Oh no. It's a tiny baby eland. They are not going to battle to bring it down unless, of course, the eland's parents come back. And this is a hugely opportunistic hunt and kill. Shame. This poor eland was hiding out in some bushes and it decided to take from its cover. And these cheetah have now got a very, very easy meal.
Mom's coming.
Here comes the mother. Where's she coming from? But she's missed it. She's gone straight past the action. It's not over yet though. I want to get a bit closer because this eland could come running back once she works out where her youngster is. I think it's the fact that she doesn't know where it is that she's run straight past these cheetah. Ah. Alice, is this not over, kind of, for now? Well, it appears that they have in fact already managed to kill this baby eland. It didn't take long for them to suffocate it, and now we can expect to see a lot of squabbling between these 5 boys. There's not a huge amount of meat there, and as the spots for dinner become tighter, they will definitely squabble more and more amongst one another. They haven't had a meal for 2 full days now. That all happened so quickly. I'm glad you guys got in just in time. We were also torn between where we should park the vehicle and had to jam on brakes to let Manu get the final bit of the takedown. Let's have a look at the poor eland mother looking in on the scene. I'm guessing that is the mother. And shame. Now, eland are well known for actually chasing prey off their kills, and who knows, maybe she is going to make her way straight in here. But right now it is going to sadly be far too late for it to be of any benefit, but she may well try, which would be very, very interesting. Don't tell me that baby eland is still alive. I think it might be. Which is obviously far from ideal. Yeah. Well, nature can be absolutely brutal and harsh, and I really wasn't expecting that. Usually these guys do a great job in suffocating their prey, but in this instance it is not the case, which is a first for me, and of course certainly not something that is easy to witness. He's usually the individual that does it, and maybe it's the fact that he wasn't in charge of this responsibility this time around that it wasn't done properly. Well, they got very, very fortunate because there's not a huge amount of prey around in this area, and this was a easy bonus meal for them. It was absolutely no match for their speed, nor the strength of 5 of them. Whew. A little bit lost for words, having seen what we've just all seen, so we're all in the same boat together. Certainly nobody would have enjoyed that scene, but that is the reality of being on a safari, a live safari. You just don't know what is going to happen and when, and we will and have over the years uncovered some fairly touchy scenes. My worst was a hyena fight. Whew. That was not pretty to watch. Anyway, what is going to be interesting after this meal is whether they continue to look for food. I mean, it's a decent sized antelope, even though it was a young Eland calf. It's fairly decent size. And maybe they won't be satisfied yet for today. Justin, you'd like to know if this Eland's mother is going to have a kind of an emotional attachment or any feeling of sadness or loss. And I find it hard to think otherwise. You know, how long that period of sadness and loss continues for is obviously debatable, but I think there definitely is. Let's have a quick look there. There is an Eland watching on, and I think they know full well what has happened. So yes, I think there will be a moments of sadness and desperation and loss where they will continue to search for their youngsters, calling for them, hoping that they're still around. But to what degree or level, I'm not certain. What's interesting is that these adult eland were nowhere in the immediate area when that youngster came out of its hiding place, and it's quite fascinating how they do leave their young tucked away, far away from themselves for extended periods of time. And of course they believe that for the majority of the time that is going to be safer, but not always. I mean, if they had have been a bit closer here, it definitely would have assisted with trying to chase these cheetah off it when there was still time to. We're obviously going to stay here and see what happens. We'll call you back if the eland do come any closer. But for now, we are going to be sending you off to Tristan, who is off to another cat with their kill.
I am indeed, Scotty, so I'm going to do this quickly for the second time this afternoon. As Scott mentioned, my name is Tristan, and on camera today I've got Asenzo, and we are coming to you live from South Africa, which means hashtag Safari Live or YouTube chat if you want to ask any questions or just get involved and be interactive with us. Now, I am racing towards Shadow because apparently there are hyenas there and they are trying to steal the kill from her, so we're not going to waste too much time. I'm going to try and get there as quick as we can. That was the plan for the afternoon, was to try and spend as much time with Shadow as we could, hoping that she would have this kill and maybe the cub would be there, but alas, it seems as though hyenas have gotten involved, and so we're going to try and quickly just get that side. It was amazing earlier, I was watching the bird and the Senegal lapwing, and it's got these 3 little eggs, which is so cool, so I want to try and monitor those eggs over the next little bit. I think it's going to be a great bushwalk segment actually, because that little lapwing is so... We were parked by and these little eggs were in underneath the lapwing. Amazing to see. Now, she could incubate those eggs. I don't know how long they've been there for, but she'll incubate those eggs. Normally with lapwings, it's somewhere around 30 days, so between sort of the late 20s and early 30s for a lapwing species. So I would imagine that maybe in the next few weeks we'll start to see them hatching, and wouldn't it be great if we could actually film them hatching themselves? So I'll try and monitor them. They're nice and close to camp, and it means we can check them pretty much every afternoon and morning, and maybe we'll get lucky and we'll actually watch the little ones hatch. But finding all these little chicks and baby animals has been so much fun in the last few weeks, and long may it continue at this rate. Now we're going to just try, sorry little vulture, I'll get to you later. We're going to just bypass our vulture nest for now as we try and get across to Shadow. The reason why I'm trying to get there quickly is because And I just want to see what her reaction is to the hyenas. Maybe she's going to try and steal some of that carcass back. We know that the last time we saw on a kill where hyenas were involved, which was that big impala carcass when Byron was back here about a month ago, she eventually did get some of it back and hopped up into a tree. And so I wonder if it's going to be the same, and the interaction between obviously two predators is always super exciting. So hopefully we'll get there fairly shortly. We're not far away now. It should be just up ahead if my directions are correct, because I wasn't out this morning, so I don't really know exactly where it is, but hopefully we will be able to find what we are looking for. But exciting times. It's also exciting because Rex, who was out during the middle of the day just doing some road work after his bushwalk this morning, also found tracks for the Angama Pride females, well, 2 of them, and the cubs, so the 2 littlest cubs. So that's really good news. I think Noelle's going to try and see if she can find them with Rex. Rex is on foot at the moment, just helping us out, and Noelle's in a vehicle. So hopefully between the 2 of them, they'll be manage to find the little Angama cubs, because it's been a while since we've seen them, and they are so cute. I'm also interested to see if the secondary female that's with them is the one that maybe, just maybe, has had cubs that everybody in the West was talking about, and whether it is indeed Amber, or if there's some freak incident where it's another one of the Angama females, which I would be very surprised if that were the case. Right, now it should be somewhere here. From what I gathered, it was somewhere on Zoe's Road to the south of the old hyena den, which is pretty much where we are right now. It's not very far at all in front of us. I don't see Aubrey's vehicle. I also don't have any idea of how far off the road it was. It's further down. Senzo knows. You see, Senzo was on walk this morning, so that helps. Senzo is going to be able to show me exactly where I need to be, which is great news. There they are. Okay, great. So they're right next to the road, which is actually quite wonderful. It's really not far from the road at all. Seems as though Shadow is not in a tree anywhere, and there's not really many trees around here. So unfortunately for her, I doubt that she's going to get really much of this back from these hyenas. I think she's going to have a situation, unfortunately, where she'll have lost it. What I can see is Shadow's cub, though, by the looks of things, given the size difference between them. That is also in this area. So I'm just going to park myself a little bit differently, because I don't want to disrupt these two too much, and there's a few stumps around, but there we go. So that should be quite nice, because we can then basically see both the hyena and Shadow's cub. So you can see Shadow's cub is just sitting on the left hand side, just on top of the little mound, panting away and completely non-perturbed by the fact that there's a hyena not even 5 meters from her standing over the carcass. So the carcass is there under the ground. Hyena's just staring at it. I think this hyena is probably really fed on this and has had a situation where it is so full now that it actually doesn't even know what to do with itself. This is what does happen with hyenas, is they eat themselves silly. They get really full and really kind of bloated out, and then they just kind of can't fit much more in, and they'll wander off a bit, and that might be then a chance for Shadow to come in and grab the rest of it and be able to get the rest. There you can see Shadow, she's lying on that side. What surprises me with where Shadow is lying and how she's kind of looking is that she's not making any attempt to try come in here and actually get this sort of carcass back in any way. She's also not too worried about her cub with hyenas, which is fairly odd. I would have thought she would have had a situation where she would have come in and tried to maybe defend the cub and get the cub away, but seems as though she's not too perturbed, actually. How amazing is that? It's not very often that you see this kind of thing with leopard and hyenas. You would expect the hyenas or the leopards to be a little bit more on edge than what they are, but both of them are fairly relaxed and kind of panting away, which is a general indication that they're both fairly full and well fed and have had a good meal. But very surprising, the hyena itself is actually laid down now right next to the kill, so it's probably just trying to digest. You can't even see it anymore. It's literally right behind there, and the kill is then just off to the right hand side. But absolutely amazing. I would love to know actually how much is left there, or how much there was this morning, because it seems as though a lot of that face has already been eaten off, and there's a lot of skin lying around there, but I don't think there's actually as much food as we initially thought. I mean, like I say, I don't know what the carcass looked like this morning and how much these leopards managed to get, but given their sort of general disposition and the fact that they're panting the way that they are, both of them, it would indicate that they both had a really good meal. I'm just going to try and reposition slightly, because what I want to try and do is be able to see where the hyena is actually sleeping. But super cool to see. It really is great to have these two on a kill again, and to have a leopard afternoon. The best thing is to be with spots, that's for sure. Well, I think so anyway. Whether others agree is probably not really very sort of, I suppose it is debatable, really. I would imagine others would prefer to be with other animals than these guys. David, you're wondering why hyenas would kill a leopard cub if they could end up just with scavenging from a leopard. But how crazy is this? Look at this. You've got the leopard in front and then the hyena right behind it. It is absolutely insane. There we go. Look at that. And who says that the two of them are super aggressive to one another? It's amazing when there's a food item in between them that they really become this relaxed. Both of them are fairly kind of nonplussed by the fact that the other one is here. But David, getting back to your question, the reason why hyenas kill leopard cubs is because when a cub is very small, it's defenseless. Ultimately, it is nutrients for a hyena, but it's also competition. A hyena knows that a leopard could potentially be dangerous to its offspring, and so it then kills those cubs when they're still defenseless and weak and are easy sort of prey, so to speak. When a leopard gets a little bit older and is able to climb, hyenas then realize that it's quite difficult. Also, a stronger, bigger leopard is something that is hard to be able to fight with. The risk of injury is much more, and so they would rather just scavenge from a leopard when it's older than actually fight with it. But if, let's say, Shadow's cub was standing over the kill, that hyena would definitely chase it off, and if she stood and fought, you might find that hyena might bite her, and that's going to cause a lot of injuries. So leopards tend to be a little shy of hyenas when they're on food. They tend to back off and let the hyenas take the food because it's much easier to kill another impala and feed off that than it is to fight with hyenas. But hyenas, the reason why they're not going after leopards is because they know when a leopard gets older, it's got claws, it's got teeth, it's obviously there's a risk of injury as well for them. So they try and avoid older leopards, but leopard cubs are completely defenseless, and so that's why they do kill them. Right, now I believe Scott is with the other spotted cat of Africa, who's already had an amazing afternoon and a crazy sort of start to the drive, and so I believe there's now more of those big eland approaching. Let's see what's going to happen.
Yes, well, the afternoon looks like it could become more amazing. This eland, who I'm guessing is the mother, she is the eland out of the herd that is looking the most concerned, and wouldn't it be fascinating to see her chase these cheetah? Shame. I'm quite surprised she hasn't come for a closer inspection. I guess she is possibly nervous of them because they're predators, but it's going to be very difficult for even a coalition of 5 male cheetahs to bring down an eland, even a female. But who knows, maybe this big old boy will come charging in. He is a monster. Look at the size of his neck. And everywhere, really. Beautiful big dewlap hanging down. Look at that neck. Now, if he came charging in, these cheetah would bombshell. They would not stick around. But I've got a feeling that is just not going to be the case. They're seemingly just wanting to investigate the scene and work out what exactly has happened, rather than charging in. Interestingly, the cheetah haven't been squabbling much over the kill, and they've just about finished it, it appears. They made very, very quick work of it. And they'll be fairly well fed after this meal, but there is a strong chance if they come across any other prey, they may go for it. Oh, we're getting a few raindrops now. There's just one dark cloud looming above us. And I wonder if we can show them some of our friends that are floating in on the scene. Ooh, no, we don't have the angle, but there are already vultures that have... Ooh, yeah, one's coming from the left nicely, Manu. There we go. So the vultures are already on the scene, and I always find it absolutely fascinating how quickly the message spreads, and it just goes to show how good their eyesight is. Beautiful. Oops. That wasn't ideal. But Manu's camera work certainly was. Well done, Manu. So a mixture of hooded vultures and white-backed vultures swooping in onto the scene, and I'm guessing some of them are going to probably start landing a bit closer to the carcass, in the knowledge that first come first serve is applicable amongst the vultures. There's going to be a lot of squabbling and squawking when these boys decide to abandon the kill, which I'm guessing is going to be in the next couple of minutes. They are just about done, and they don't like to hang around in areas where there is a kill, because they know full well that all of these vultures coming down could be attracting the attention of other threats like lion and or hyena and even leopard. I guess leopard aren't going to be too much of a threat to these 5 boys, but to solitary or a pair of cheetah, leopards can also pose a threat. So that's why you see a lot of them scanning around, a few mouthfuls, stop, look up, scan around, make sure there's no threats. Just seen a guy's hat get blown off his head and out of his car in the wind, so just having a bit of a giggle with him. Great. Well, we are going to stick around, and we'll probably call you back as soon as the cheetah leave, and that way we'll be able to show you the descent of all these vultures upon the carcass. Very good. Back to Tristan.
Hello everyone, from Vultures in the Mara to Vultures in Sabi Sands. We're having a lovely afternoon so far. The clouds have lifted quite a bit and it's nice and warm. There's some thermals rising up off the earth, so that's why we've got that beautiful vulture up there. I would guess it would be a white-backed. I am Noelle, and on camera I have Gendre. Gendre is giving thumbs up. We are live and interactive, as you know. Hashtag Safari Live on the Twitter, and you can follow us on the YouTube chat and send questions. We love questions. So Tristan is south and a little bit west of me with Shadow and the youngster and a hyena, I believe. We are going to carry on our search for the Nkuhumas and see what happens there. We're almost to Biffleshoek Dam. So we're going to go around and see if we can pick up our tracks from this morning and see what they've been up to for the day. Probably sleeping a little bit, but it was pretty chilly today. They might have moved, unless they made a kill last night, which we won't know until we find them. Let's carry on and do that. All right, while we're busy looking for our lions, let's head back over to Tristan with a mobile leopard.
Well, indeed. So Shadow is now walking past us. The hyena has dragged the carcass away. So this is where the carcass was. You can see the cub has come in to investigate now. Shadow is also here, and I think they're going to walk along and try and follow this hyena to where it was to try and get that carcass back, potentially. And you see her nose is to the ground. They're busy watching. So I'm just going to try and keep up with them. The cub is far more brave than Mom. You see, cub is running along, trying to catch up with the hyena. The hyena has already gone into a thicket just beyond us here. So I want to just try and get to that side. I'm pretty sure the two of them are going to make their way towards that area, but insane. I didn't think the hyena would pick up and walk now. It was fairly sleepy, and all of a sudden it just decided, nope, I'm not happy with it being right here. I want to drag it somewhere else. And there's already 1 or 2 vultures that have now arrived. So there's a hooded vulture that's here, which will indicate to other vultures to start coming in, and we might get a situation where we get a couple more vultures, and that'll only just add to the whole sort of drama of what's going on, because at the end of the day, if there's vultures, there's hyenas, there's leopard, it's going to be amazing. Now Senzo says he can spot the hyena, which is good news. Is it in this bush here, Senz? Okay, let's go around, because then we'll see the other 2 on their way this way. I'm pretty sure they'll end up on one of these mounds somewhere close by, because there's a couple mounds here which are the perfect mounds for a leopard to sit on. So if we just park ourselves off, we should be able to find what we're looking for. Now the hyena has dragged it right into a thicket on purpose. So the hyena has gone into one of these thickets to be able to try and hide it away from the vultures, and to make sure that these sort of aerial scavengers are not really finding their food very easily. I wouldn't be surprised if one of the leopards ends up on this tree here, or even in the tree above the carcass itself. Now, the little cub is in front of me and is sitting over there, and Mom, I think, she was coming up from the backside. So this is where she stashed the kill. You can see it's a beautiful fallen over tree for a kill to be stashed in. Now, I don't know where the actual hyena is. Did you see it, Senzo?
It's in front of the tree.
In front of the tree on the other side. Okay, and then the cub is just straight in front of us over there. Ever curious and always watching. Mom is a little bit more to the right. She's coming round the back of this tree and is kind of flank sort of on this side. And it's going to be interesting to see where they are going to end up and where they're ending up going to sit. There comes Shadow. You can see her just walking through between all the bushes, looking at this hyena, and I'm pretty sure she's not impressed with this hyena at the moment. It's a big meal that she's going to have lost, and so I'm sure she'll want to get it back as quick as she can and try and get it up into a tree and out of these sort of reaches of this predator. It just goes to show you how efficient hyenas are at grabbing it, and she'll play a game where she'll try and sneak in and try and get to a situation where the hyena is distracted and she can then grab it and go into a tree as quick as possible and get it out of the reaches if she gets a gap and an opportunity, and that's what she's looking for. You see a bit of snarling. The hyena's just on the other side, so she's just going to growl and hiss. And I think it's going to be all about patience between these two. What are you doing, little cub? This is now how you pose as a little cub. You put your foot up on the mount and you just try and act cool when things are going against you. Now, what are you going to do? Your ear's itchy, you want to scratch, you want to go up the tree. It's difficult. And you can't put your foot up there as well. How cute is that? It's also becoming a bit of a character, this little cub. Here we go, back to normal leopard stance and pose. But here comes Shadow. It looks like Shadow's going to actually go up onto the tree itself and maybe just go above the hyena and see if maybe she can maybe sneak in and snake her way through. A bit of scratching of claws. That's just to get those claws into good shape. You'll find that these guys do it quite regularly. They'll go up and they kind of put their claws in and they just kind of sharpen them up, especially if she's going to have to try and get up into a tree a little bit later. They're also going to be leaving a bit of a scent there, so if anybody else comes along, she'll be able to actually kind of, well, whoever it is will be able to pick up who's been here. But you can see the claws. Look at the size of them and the damage that it can do to a tree. Now, you can imagine a soft-skinned animal, how much damage a claw like that can make. It really is amazing what they can do. Now, here comes another vulture that's just coming slowly gliding in above us. That's a white-backed vulture that's come in now, so it's probably spotted this hooded vulture, spotted the leopards, spotted the hyena now, and knows, okay, hang on a second, something's up. And the more vultures that come here, the more it's going to start attracting other animals and hyenas and various others, and actually there's more coming in. You can see a whole bank of them now starting to come down, so it's amazing how quickly they're able to spot these hyenas moving things around. Ladybird, you're wondering how many species of vultures there are here in the Sabi Sands. Well, commonly seen species is the white-backed and the hooded vultures. And then we do see from time to time on big carcasses, we'll see the white-headeds and the leopard-faced. And then the very rare ones for this area would be the Cape vulture and the Egyptian vulture. Now, Egyptian vulture is really, I don't even know if we can consider it. There's only been a few reported sightings in the Kruger region, but I suppose it does occur in the Kruger Park system, so we can call it that. But those are the species that we get. You see, Shadow's decided, nope, she's going to walk off. She's going to go find herself a comfier spot. She knows this hyena's got this carcass. The chances of her being able to get it back is probably very slim at this stage. I don't think she will. So she's maybe decided that's it, we're going to leave it and walk off. You can see she's going. Now the cub is starting to follow, and maybe that's just the end of Shadow being on the kill, which is a bit unfortunate. I would have hoped that we would have had a situation where she tried to fight back a little bit and actually grab it back for herself. But I'm going to stick with Shadow and Cub just from a point of view that I would like to kind of see where they end up. Maybe she's going to go for water and then try again a little bit later, but let's see. We'll follow her along. There could also be a little bit of this carcass that's still at the back here somewhere that she's going to decide to actually eat. What's amazing though is how the little cub, once mom loses kind of focus and once mom loses her nerve to go and try and get it, the little cub would rather follow mom than actually try with hyena. While mom is around, it's quite brave, but as soon as mom disappears, the little cub is not into it at all, and it's now moving on and moving off, which is very interesting to watch. But let's just try and get around. Here we go. See how they're sniffing. This is exactly the path that this hyena dragged this carcass, is where Shadow is sniffing at the moment. The little cub's going to come in to sniff as well, see if there's any little bits. Shadow seems to have found a bone or something that's fallen off that she's going to eat, and then the cub's going around to see if there's any little pieces for it as well. I don't think there's going to be anything left for you girls, I'm afraid. So this afternoon I spoke to Miss Taylor McCurdy, who was still sitting in FC before game drive. She told me she needs to go get ready because she didn't want to be late for game drive, and she told me that I'm always the one that's late, and it seems as though McTardy is actually only joining us now and has been messing around. So let's go and hear what her excuses are and why she's late.
Shh, 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 shh. Everybody be very, very quiet. The buffalo are still having their Sunday siesta. They haven't quite woken up. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Taylor, and on camera with me today is Jahawi. And this is going to be a very silent safari for as long as we're going to sit with the buffalo. Oh no, I have fear I may have woken one up. Oh, what a pity. No, I'm just joking. Good afternoon again, everybody. I thought it was quite funny that all the buffalo were still having a snooze, and I felt quite envious of them. But remember, this is live, this is interactive, this is happening right now, and we're allowed to be silly on the days that start with S's. So hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, or chat to us via the YouTube chat. And, well, it sounds like you've already had a very, very exciting afternoon. I'm kind of envious. Hopefully we're going to have some excitement for ourselves. What are we going to do? We're going to look for the mongoose that are very relaxed along the marsh edge. Maybe you remember we had them one morning and they were all peered on top of the termite mound, quite close to the car. That's going to be our plan. Hopefully, maybe add an African blue flycatcher to our list. We actually saw one already at the top. There seemed to be a great bird party up on the escarpment. But unfortunately it was in an area where the signal was not too great. So anyway, so we decided to come all the way down here. So that's going to be our plan this afternoon. And there are plenty of different lion prides that we could see within the area that we're going, so who knows which ones may pop up, but that'll be quite nice. I think we're going to do a bit of a bumble today, and if the animals want to surprise us and do exciting things and pounce on other animals, that's alright too. We'll take that. Okay, now we're going to go in that direction. We're going to go east-ish and start by the Olololo gate and then go along the Mara River all the way in the eastern corner until we get through to Little Governors, and then we're going to jump into the marsh and look for birds. Monique, you're wondering if buffaloes snore. I feel as though all animals could potentially snore. Lions snore often. I've heard elephants snoring too. So I wouldn't put it past a buffalo. I think if it was going to snore, probably sound a little bit like my dad. Or maybe, who else snores in camp? I don't know. Jar, are you a snorer? Silent sleeper. Okay, silent sleeper. Okay. No, so I'm not actually not sure who else snores. I haven't heard anybody, and you'd think I'd hear that rumbling through my tent, but yes, they will. If they get into a very, very deep sleep, I think all animals could possibly snore. Kirst, who's directing, do you snore? I think you're a big snorer. I think you're a closet snorer. See if she's listening to me today. Normally, Kirst just shuts everything out if I if I say anything. Right, we're going to keep heading in the direction of the river and the forest, and hopefully we'll find some exciting things. Let's jump back on board with Scott, and I think Scott could maybe be a snorer too.
Well, more descending vultures move into this scene, and some of them have actually moved down from the tree where we saw them landing and have now landed on the ground, and they are still waiting for these boys to finish off the scraps of this baby eland that they caught about 15 or 20 minutes ago. There they are, vultures waiting patiently. And I'm quite surprised that the cheetah have continued to feed on this carcass for so long. It really did look like they had made most of their way through it, but maybe it's because they were very hungry that they're just not letting anything go to waste. But I am certain at some point they will get up and move on, and then we will have the joy of seeing all the vultures come hopping in onto the scene. It's one of my favorite things to watch, all the bobbing heads of vultures hopping towards the kill once the predators have moved off. Sounds like you guys are having a wonderful afternoon. I'm sure you enjoyed being on board with Taylor for a while. And are missing our Mara crew. Manu and I have been away for a little while now, and it's funny how a few days away from camp you feel like you've been gone forever. Hi Jenny, you'd like to know if there's any parts of the carcass that the cheetah won't eat. Not, it's only the areas that they can't access, so kind of between the ribs and around the big bones, that they will tend to leave behind, but most of the meaty portions of the kill will be consumed, and especially when they're feeding on young animals like this young eland, they will certainly be softer and tender than the adults, so even the fur and the skin becomes a little bit easier to chew on and swallow. So this is going to be a skeleton, essentially, left with only little bits of meat that they can't get access to in and around the spine, the ribs. There'll be a decent amount for the vultures to still feed on, with their accurate and narrow beaks that are designed perfectly for picking the carcasses clean. As you can see, it's a very, very windy afternoon here in the Mara. And they're taking some time to prepare themselves. I'm not sure why you guys are cleaning yourselves, because you're about to get absolutely filthy and bloody. But I guess they're just preparing and killing some time before their little feast. Very good. We won't be going anywhere, and we'll race you back as soon as these hyena get a chance at their meal. But for now, back to Taylor with some elephants.
Well, the one I'm going to show you is more spectacular than the other elephants, and I can't believe I'm saying that right now because I love all elephants, but he is a beautiful tusker, and we don't come across them all the time. Even in the Sabi sand, every now and then one will move on through. But look at his ivory. Not even, but that's okay. Adds a bit of character, doesn't it? He's definitely been digging a little bit. Not sparkly white, but nothing that a rainstorm can't fix. That's how I suppose elephants clean their teeth. Well, the ones that show on the outside anyway. And a couple of zebra in the background, and the beautiful, beautiful escarpment. I thought this was just too pretty not to say no to. I mean, it's unbelievable. Now remember how I did those... Well, I didn't do anything. That's terrible of me. You all did the hard work, and you took the most amazing screenshots up on the open area behind camp on quarantine. And we monitored the grass. And we saw the changes, how it went from dry to green, green to dry over the different seasons. Why don't we do something like that here? I don't think the grass is going to change too much in terms of color. Maybe go a little bit yellow every now and then when there's a few weeks with no rain. But it's going to get taller and taller. So, I think we could use this spot because we can come past here every day, and we'll try and use those trees. So can we zoom out so we can get those two trees in frame, just so we can use them as a... There we go. How does that feel? And then that's the frame we're going to do every single day now, for as long as we remember. And if I've forgotten, please remind me, because I do forget. We know this. I'm not hiding anything. You can hashtag Safari Live. So keep an album with all these pictures, and then once we've got a couple, we can put them all together, make a collage, and take it from there, and then have a look. And remember to always hashtag Safari Live. So I must just remember this frame now. So I hope you've all got some screenshots, and that'll be perfect. Who knows? Maybe we can have an elephant every time. Ooh. Jared, you're talking about the tail, and you're wondering if the tail of that elephant is unusually long. Should we have a look so we can examine it? Jared is also one of our tech geniuses, although he doesn't claim the title yet of fixing X-ray machines. That's Martin, Microwave Martin. So there's his tail. It's long, and I think the hair on his tail is quite long. Come on, swish it around or take a step with your back right leg, please, Mr. Elephant. Oh, thank you very much. Very kind. Yeah, it is pretty long, isn't it? Don't you think he's lucky? Hey, Jared? I think so. I think this elephant has got everything going for him at the moment. He's got a long tail. Who wouldn't want an extra length fly swatter? I most certainly would. That's why I'm growing my hair at the moment and leaving it in such a long ponytail. I'll just move my head from side to side and swat the flies away like that. It works quite well. He's got beautiful ivory, and he's a very big bull. And he doesn't seem to have too many scars, or he doesn't have any holes in his ears. What a lovely feather. I can tell you right now that this is going to be zebra heaven. This grass is amazing. I can imagine all horses would go absolutely crazy, rolling around in it, eating it. It's beautiful and green. It's lush. And of course, I think we're going to start to see lots and lots of elephants around here at the moment too. It looks like a golf course. Looks like a fairway. Not quite green. I reckon if you mowed it down though, you could have a great golf pitch. Oh, golf pitcher. Cricket pitch would be quite. It would be lovely to play on. Anyways, I'm going to send you across to my friend Tristan, who's in South Africa.
Well, unfortunately, I think Taylor got sort of stuck. Her play button is pushed pause, and we'll have to reset her once again and get her working. Maybe she's got a few gremlins of her own on this Sunday. But anyway, it doesn't matter. Our Shadow and Cub, they're all over the place. They're walking up and down everywhere. They're checking all the spots that I think this hyena has dragged this carcass for any little bits that may have dropped off. And in fact, Shadow has actually been quite naughty. She stole quite a bit from the cub when the cub found a little piece of skin and meat, and Shadow then ran in and took it from her. So the poor cub had to then go and try and find something else. But the cub is now going back up towards the hyena, which I didn't think it would do. I thought they were going to be done and move off, but it seems as though they got a situation where they're going up and down as they try and look for little bits. That's where the cub is gone again, back to that little tree area, and there goes Shadow. She's now off into that direction as well. But they did get a really good feed. I was watching both of them as they've been walking around. Their tummies are both fairly full, which means that they at least got quite a nice amount of food out of it. And so even though it has been stolen, at least it didn't get stolen straight away and they didn't actually get any food from it. At least there was a little bit kind of given to them. Marvin, you're wondering if Shadow is just a nickname or if it's the name that she was assigned. Well, that is her name. So she was at one stage in her life called Tingana, but we have a male leopard called Tingana, so it was then changed towards Shadow, and so it is the real name that was given to her. It's because of her general nature, one of the rangers decided to call her that, and I don't know if they knew what the local name for Shadow meant, and so they just used the English name for it. But yes, that is her name. And it's like some of the leopards in the Mara. I know there's a leopard there called Olive, so it's, these things do happen from time to time. Oh, look at that, isn't that sweet? It's not met with much love though. Shadow just growled at her as she came up. But it's beautiful. The sun is just coming out a little bit now. It's the first time we've seen the sun in about 2 days, and beautiful with these two leopards walking through this long grass in this area. It is absolutely wonderful. So nice to have a bit of light out again, and hopefully that will be the end of this cold, dreary, overcast weather that we've had over the last little bit. It'll also mean we'll probably end up with a little bit more drier conditions to start the morning tomorrow, which would be quite wonderful. But you can see the little cub is kind of pacing up and down, as almost as if to say, Mom, sort this out. We don't have food anymore and I'm hungry. Where is it? So you can see it's going up and down, and that's exactly, like I say, the way that the hyenas were dragging it. You see noses down to the ground. Maybe it can sniff out that there's a bit of blood and debris there, and it's trying to find some sort of sign of a leg or something that it can go and nosh on in the corner and try and just sort of chew on. And you find little cubs are like that from time to time. As soon as they can find somewhere where they can kind of get their jaws in, they will begin to feed off it. So hopefully that little one finds something somewhere, although it looked like the carcass when the hyena was dragging that all 4 legs were still attached, so I don't think there's going to be a leg anyway. I laugh at the hyena because when we left these 2 leopards and we came back down this way, left the hyena and we came back down this way with the 2 leopards, the hyena was lying on top of the carcass. signal. So we are back up and running now. Gremlins are gone. Everything is all good. The sun is coming out and there's wonderful things afoot. Shadow and Cub are still messing around with this hyena and trying to find a way to get their food back, but they're not winning at this stage. Shadow is just on my right hand side. I have no idea where the Cub's gone. The Cub was around this section, but Shadow's just up on a termite mound. It's the mound that I said I would thought they might go and sit on. There's a bit of shade, and now that the sun's come out, I think she's just looking for somewhere just to rest and sit down and take it very easy. So nice to see her, and you can see she's still got a bit of difficulty with walking up onto high spots like this on top of a mound. She's battling a little bit with the way that she walks, but she's obviously doing just fine. And the fact that she's killing fully grown male impalas means that even though she has got a slight limp, she's more than okay. And I'm surprised she's going to lie where she's going to lie. There's a much better shelf for her off to the right, but well, if you're a female leopard, you choose where you want to be, and who am I to know what is more comfortable, since I'm not a leopard. But the Cub, like I said, there comes the Cub now. Didn't know where it was, but I can see it's going to come up towards Mom now. It's kind of striding along. There we go. Hello, little one. I just can't believe how much more relaxed this little Cub has gotten. It walked past us just now within a meter. Joy, no, I don't think they look hungry at all. I mean, if you look at Shadow up on this mound here, you'll see her belly is round and full and kind of as big as it's going to be. So I don't think they're in any way hungry. It's more a situation that they want their food back, because it's much easier to try and get it back than it is to go and hunt another impala. So they're just going to sit here and be patient. They know that hyena is going to eat itself silly, and there might still be some scraps that are left over that it can go after, but they most certainly are not hungry and they are full. They obviously could put a few little bits into the tummy and fill themselves up a little bit more, but they have had a really good meal. Both bellies are fairly rounded, which means that they've done just fine. You can also see their rate of breathing is quite fast, which is a good indication that both of them have actually fed quite well. So I think it's a situation where they're not that hungry. Hello, beautiful girl. She's just sitting and relaxing. Now I wonder if the Cub has been told, you stay down there. There was a little growl just now. How nice is that to have the two of them up on a mound together? And like I say, I've just been so impressed with this little one and how it's kind of become over the last few months in terms of how relaxed it is. I watched the sighting with Noelle the other day when she was by herself, and she was not running or being shy or secretive. In fact, quite the opposite. She was posing and she was out and about, and I'm sure Mom wasn't too far away, like Noelle said, so I think that's part of the reason. But it also seems as though she's getting far more comfortable with the vehicles, which is wonderful news, and hopefully it means that she's going to continue to provide us with a lot of sightings. And it's amazing how all of a sudden, well, not all of a sudden, over the last, I would say, 3 months, we've really seen this push into these areas from Shadow and Tundi, and we obviously know that Tundi's got the den site that's now closed, and we can't really check there anymore. We will have sightings of Tundi a lot though around the area and her moving around, but we have seen a lot more of Shadow recently. And it's actually very interesting, because I find with Shadow that when she's got a cub that gets to a stage that this cub is at, so anywhere of around sort of 8 months and onwards, I find Shadow actually becomes a lot easier to find. She's quite tough to find when she's on her own without cubs, or when the cubs are still very small. Once she's had cubs though, she becomes a leopard that we tend to find a lot easier than when she's without them. It's a strange thing, because normally it's the opposite way around. Normally leopards are quite secretive when they've got cubs and don't really want you to find them, but it's the opposite with her. She seems to be a lot more out and open and in the sort of clearings and moving around on roads when she's got cubs, and that's where I thought she was going to lie initially. It seems as though I think I might be right. She might decide to lie there instead. But it's amazing how she's sort of changed. Oh, that is perfect, my girl. Is that nice? It's nice to flop your paws down, huh? Does that not look very leopard-like? That's about as leopard-like as you could get. But yeah, like I was saying, I mean, she's become a lot more sort of noticeable, and it was the same with Sindile. When she had Sindile, she was seen quite a lot, and we used to see her, walking around in areas. And the thing is, a lot of people are saying that she's come back into Djuma and she's spending a lot more time, but actually when Sindile was around, she spent a lot of time in this western part of Djuma. She used to hang around, maybe not as deep as what she's going now, but she definitely used to spend a lot of time in these areas. I remember when I came to Simambili, when I first started there, and Sindile was around on the Triple M road, and talking to Brent and Jamie, used to tell me that they used to see Sindile all the time. And I in fact actually used to see Sindile very often on Triple M itself, and so it seemed as though a good place. Shadow, You look about as queen-like as possible up there. It's amazing. She's kind of got her little throne. Now I'm going to move a little bit because Sen's is dealing with a stick at the moment that is in his way. So I'm just going to slightly change. Phil, you're wondering how many litters Shadow has had. Well, Phil, the answer to that question is very difficult because Shadow has probably had more litters than most of the other female leopards in this area. Way more than we even probably know about, because she's lost quite a number of them. So difficult to say. I mean, I've seen her probably, I've never counted, but it's easily must be 7 or 8 litters that I've seen her have. And so I would imagine she must have had probably over 10, 12, I don't know, somewhere around there. In terms of successful litters, well, Sindile is the only surviving cub that she's ever had. We don't know where he is anymore. We don't know where he's gone. He's a typical male and is distributed out and moved away from these areas, and we haven't seen him. But yeah, I mean, number of cubs or litters that she's had, difficult to say. She's lost a number of litters before we've even seen them. Amount of times I've seen her pregnant, like I say, 8, 9 times maybe, even more at times than that. It's difficult. I can't even remember the amount of times I've seen her pregnant. It's a high number though, much higher than any of the others. If you think of, you know, leopards like Karula, Salesh, they never had anywhere near that amount of cubs. But it's the way it goes. Unfortunately, she's been in an area where it's just been tough for her to be able to sort of raise cubs with the number of, you know, male leopards that we've had, and hyenas and various other things. Right, now, Taylor McCurdy, who was tardy this afternoon, and we were talking about her tardiness and what she's been up to, but it seems as though I believe she's tardy because she's been making roast potatoes for everybody on a Sunday, and I'm sure she wants to tell you all about her roast potatoes and how they've turned out and whether they are going to be very delicious for the Sunday roast.
I'm tardy because I've been making roast potatoes. Tristan, let me tell you a little something. I make the greatest roast potatoes in the whole world. Got to sprinkle a bit of salt, bit of ground black pepper, maybe even a couple of sprigs of rosemary, hey? That sounds delicious. Jar's now salivating. He's drowning in his saliva at the thought of my roast potatoes. Anyways, now we are approaching Little Governors. We were going to go left. We were going to hug the Mara River, go to the little eastern corner. We're not anymore because I've spotted many cars all in this area and up against this one tree line behind us, which you're not going to be able to see. It's all the way behind the car, even further than further to the north into where the sun is setting. So please excuse me. So we're gonna head there. And I'm hoping that we're going to find either lions or maybe a leopard. Jar says he doesn't care what it is as long as it's hungry. Somebody's in a killing mood. Not joking. Hi everyone. And so we're going to head in that direction. It's a bit far away. Oh look, it's my favorite scene in the whole wide world. It's the baboons. And I've been saying to you for so long I want to get the baboons with the pots and pans. Today might be the day. Look. It's so great. I just wish the baboon was sitting a little bit closer. There he is. Hello. Go over and play with the pots and pans, Mr. Baboon. I think they've been chased many times and they know better than to go anywhere near the washing line and anywhere near the pot rack. Otherwise, I'm sure he's going to have things thrown at him or he's going to be run at by staff members, because I feel like that's what baboons experience all the time, and vervet monkeys, because they're so naughty. They just cannot help themselves. They're too clever for their own good, and they know that if they come around where the humans are, they are bound to find food. So I suppose it just shows how intelligent they are, doesn't it? But anyways, keeping a safe distance, but still hanging around, waiting for an opportunity. But let's not wait here for too long. Let's go to where all the vehicles are. And I think it's going to be lions. Do you remember the evening we had the really cool sighting of the 2 lionesses walking right past the car on the edge of a lugger, and then they joined up with the young cubs? I think it's that Pride. I don't actually know if it's maybe going to be the Angamas, aka the Olololos, or if it's the females that live closer towards the Olololo gate. Who knows? I'm actually hoping it would be a leopard. That would be very nice. A leopard with a cub. I miss seeing little leopard cubs. I think we're going to take this one. Yes. we're going to take this one. And it seems as though Noelle has got the same idea today. She's also searching for the big cats. Will she be able to find the Nkuhumas?
Welcome back and hello. So the Nkuhumas and I are in an argument at the moment. The one road that I didn't do this afternoon because I didn't want to go past or too close to Tandi's den site, that's where the Nkuhumas popped up. They're not close to Tandi's at the moment, so don't worry about that. It was just the route that we wanted to take. So they popped up there, so we're having differences of opinion at the moment, but I have another surprise for you. It does involve a big cat. Or big cats, I should say, which might give it away. But I just need you to hold on for about 30 seconds, maybe a minute, and we will see if we can get a good visual on them. Because I'm excited because I believe it's my first time. I'm trying to remember what Tristan and I were discussing the other day about the Pride that we used to see. Yeah, there's a vehicle on that side and then also on the other side there, Jeandre. Jeandre helps me out so much because he sits up higher than I do. He also just has good bush eyes. Helps point out when I have to find things. So we're going to play I Spy with my little eye. Something that has whiskers and a tail. Do we have any guesses? Shall we play I Spy? Whiskers and a tail. Boo, you are correct. It is lions. Any guess which lions? I feel like calling lions leones today. Leones, leones. We're going to have a vehicle go past us in a minute. Sorry. Alright, any ideas which lions? Any guesses? I'm going to keep moving to reposition. No guesses. Guys, come on. So it's not the Nkuhumas because they're being mean to me and don't want to be found. Wendy, you're correct. It's the Styx Pride. Yay! Alright, let's get a better view. So we have quite a few other game drive vehicles obviously in the area because for anyone that's been traversing on this side, it's a little bit harder to find lions when they move out of our boundaries. So it's a bit busy. So I'm just going to do the best that I can to position us with the best view that I can find. Oh, there's tiny little babies. Oh my goodness, Jeandre, I'm in love. I'm obsessed. And I think I see a male, Jeandre. Let me just come up. I have a feeling that there's some males here, and I have a feeling it's the cheeky males that were also eluding Jeandre and I the other day. I can just see a bit of the mane. Give me 2 shakes of a lamb's tail, and I'll position. Haha! Oh, okamoeder. They're so tiny. I'm so excited right now. There's small cubs, but then there's really small cubs. Jeandre, can we go in on the little one that's in that little erosion patch? I mean, everyone, come on, look at that face. Okamoeder. I mean, so cute. I'm just gonna turn my body a wee bit. Look at his little yawn. I'm sorry, I am such a girl when it comes to tiny little lion cubs or tiny little leopard cubs. I am the biggest girl ever, and all I do is make googly voices. And I'm sorry, but it's too cute. So we have 2 adult females that I can see, and what looks like 1, 2, 3, 4. I would say 6 to 8 month olds. 2 about 10-month-old, and then those little cubs I would put at about 3 months old. That's my general guess for everything. It's a little bit tricky. We've got that big beautiful male as well. Thanks, Chandra. One of them. There's another vehicle that's to our right hand side that I believe has the second male, from what I could hear from the guys earlier. I don't know how, if you all are excited, but I am ridiculously excited right now. This is very special. Very, very, very special. Oh yeah, lazy. Chandra, I have a feeling that these sort of 6 to 8 month old ones are going to probably be our most action packed at the moment. Michael, so exciting. I'm so happy to hear that this is your first time seeing the teeny tiny bubbas as well. Thanks, Chandra. You read my mind. I've counted 3. Mum's in the way a little. Mum's in the way a little bit, but thus far I've counted 3. It's very interesting with prides when they have different litters. Sorry, I'm also going to make a correction. It's 3 different adult females, 1 adult male, and there's 3 different litters here. 2 of the litters I'm going to guesstimate are about 2 to 4 months apart, and then the little litter, the third litter, is definitely about 3 months. I wouldn't really put them more. It's really interesting when you get females, when you get sisters and or aunties or mums that are very closely connected, they'll tend to bring in their little ones earlier than normal. If you have any infighting happening with the adult females in the group, they'll tend to bring the little ones later and sometimes even separate. So part of the reason has to do with when you have older cubs like this with the younger cubs. The older cubs are not always nice to the younger cubs, and it can be quite threatening. And also sometimes the aunties or grandmoms or any of the other adult females in the pride are not also always very nice to the youngsters. But from what I can see, look, I mean, we've only been here for 5 minutes, but what I can see thus far is because these little ones are with the older cubs and all the mums, that they have quite a tight unit, and then it works well for them, and that's why they're able to come out. I've seen other prides where females have completely left and then raised their own cubs, and sometimes have left until the cubs are more juvenile / sub-adult age, just over a year, before they introduce, and it's interesting how the different personalities work out like that. I'm sorry, how adorable. I can hear Chandra giggling a little bit behind me. Too cute. Way too cute. At least without having seen any mating, just by the fact that the mum of the cubs is relaxed with this male, I'm going to say yes. Sometimes, just sometimes, when female territories overlap different male territories, or if there's nomadic males that come in, they'll sometimes mate with those males, but then also present to the males that are dominant, who might not have been around for the estrus, that it's their cubs, etc., etc. But it's a little touch and go. I've seen it happen a couple of times. From what I can tell, that this male is definitely the father. Everyone's too relaxed with everybody else. She's not in any way looking at him or guarding or doing anything. Ooh, Taylor has lion but also with elephant together in the sighting. So we're not going to go anywhere with our uber cuteness. So while we're sitting here, let's head up that way and see what she wants to show us.
This lion is gonna get charged. No, I'm just joking. It's all very calm and cool and collected here. As you can see, Mr. Mufasa was having a sleep while this elephant just grazes on the bank of this drainage line. So yeah, all very nice. Very relaxed for the moment. I think there's lions scattered all over this drainage line. We've already seen another big male. I assume that they are the Triangle Boys, well, at least 2 of them. And then I see the vehicles are stopping up ahead of me again, so there must be more lions. How exciting. I really am glad that the elephants are here because they can wake them up. Because I don't like to watch the cats sleep for too long. But I think this could be very exciting. And we've got many different sightings to rotate to as well, so it will keep me occupied, which is quite nice. But I don't think this lion is even acknowledged. Okay, there he is. Now I can see him twisting his head just slightly and turning his ears towards the elephant. So he's obviously just keeping an eye open. Literally just an eye, though, not both of them. And just watching. But he hasn't really got anything to fear at the spot that he's at the moment. He's up high on top of a bank. That elephant is down low in a lugger. And even though it doesn't look like it, there must be about a meter in height difference between where the lion is laying and the elephant is feeding. But it's quite cool, isn't it? But there's more. There's many elephants around. So I'm interested to see how this all unfolds. And what we might do just now, though, is once this elephant has walked past, because I'm quite keen to see if it comes closer. Don't know if the elephant knows that the lion's here just yet. He hasn't really shown any signs. But I would like to go and have a look and see what the other cars are having a little peek at. What a beautiful afternoon. Such a variety of things to look at. This is how safari should be, if only the animals sort of played ball all the time. Sometimes they need a break. Oh. There's another elephant crashing through the trees up on the bank, and I suspect is going to walk exactly the same path as this fellow down below. And it looks like some youngsters too, so maybe they'll make a bit of a noise. They might trumpet. They normally trumpet when they get a bit nervous. This is very cool. This is lovely. Ghost, are you still there? Are you just enjoying this as much as I am? Look at him. Can you see? Actually, just if you go up a little bit. There we go. In the top left-hand corner, if you watch there, there's bushes moving. It's like Jurassic Park. What you doing? Must be playing with another little elephant. Can you hear the bushes as they crash about? Hello, Meeta. I haven't heard from you in ages. It's great to hear your voice again. Meeta's my little friend. Meeta's only 8 years old. But it's so funny. You're wondering if the lions like to always sleep on the road. They tend to. They lay wherever they want to lay. And it just depends. Sometimes if it's too windy, they'll look for things like trees and shrubs and logs to try and stop the wind. Or they'll sit behind a termite mound. But otherwise, just wherever they flop down, really, like your dog at home or a cat. I'm hoping that little elephant that's crashing through those trees comes down this way, because that looks like a funny fella. I think he's going to stir trouble with these lions. It looks like he's in one of those moods. There's a whole breeding herd coming through there. And there's a breeding herd on our right, which we can have a look at a little bit later. They're just out in the open at the moment. And they're grazing basically towards the lugger. So, it seems as though we're going to have elephants coming from both ways. Ooh. What will happen? I don't know, but look how close that elephant is getting now. Soon he's going to be so close we're not going to see him anymore. There's a gentle breeze. It's not actually too windy, which is nice. I'm quite happy about that, because I don't think many of the animals are fond of the gustly wind that comes through here. Now, Snazzy, you're wondering if the lion knows that he's so close to the elephants. I did see him twitch his head slightly, and his ear went from doing that to this. So I think he knows elephants. You can hear him. And I'm pretty sure he went from closed eyes to one eye open and went, and closed it again, went back to sleep. He's not bothered at all. If he was bothered, he would either sit up, he would change his position, his tail would start to move around, he'd maybe flatten his ears. All these different types of things. Chris said that was a great lion impersonation. Just to be specific, that was a male lion sleeping. I could have done hands. I could have done a little bit more. I wouldn't give myself A for effort there, Chris, but thank you very much for the pat on the back. But it wasn't deserving. Okay, let's go up, because I can't see the elephant anymore. And the lion, well, he's sleeping. Let's quickly look at what's going on up here. Let's see, who are we going to have next? We're going to have another Triangle Boy. Are we going to have some members of the Pride? Whichever Pride this would be. Yes, little baby lions. That's what we got. Little baby lions. Also known as cubs. I suppose I should call them what they are and not be too silly. But there they sit. Now this is where it gets interesting. Where are the adults? Because if they're on their own, those little cubs, they are safe though. They're up on the lugger. So they've got a good spot. So don't worry. These elephants probably won't squash the cubs because they'd be able to get away. They're not going to be silly enough to stay underneath an elephant's foot. So I reckon if those elephants that are out in the open come charging towards the lugger because they pick up on these little lions, they might just run down the bank and off to the other side. Very cool. Well, we're going to hang around here and see how this all develops. My dear friend Mr. Rose Potato is sitting with a beautiful leopard and her cub. Let's go see what they're up to.
Well, I am sitting with a beautiful leopard and a cub, Taylor Mac. They can see that they're both sleepy now. I didn't think Shadow would stay the way she was for long. She was battling to try and find her sort of position for her head when she was sitting with her paws dangling like that, and so she's repositioned and lay exactly where I first thought she might lay, is because that looks as though it's the comfiest spot of all on top of these termite mounds. It's kind of got a nice little shelf. Little cub has found herself a comfy spot, and it's all just rest now. So we had a bit of activity earlier, and then I think it's going to be a situation where everything is going to start kind of getting more excitable around sunset, when maybe more hyenas arrive, or you never know, maybe these two decide they've given up and they'll then carry on and move off. But what an exciting day we've had so far, and cat trifecta once again, which is always wonderful to have. Little Styx cubs, I think it's the first time those little Styx cubs have ever been on Djuma, so I'm sure Noel is buzzing at the thought of that, which is quite wonderful. And so I haven't even seen those little Styx cubs, and on top of all of that, there is an Angama female with cubs somewhere on Djuma at the moment as well, because Rex picked up those tracks and we haven't as yet found them. So I might do a little turnaround there a bit later. If we've got no sort of action happening here a little bit later, I might just head up towards Buffelshoek Dam and just to have a little check. You never know, maybe one of the females with the Angama Pride pops out with cubs too, and that will just make a ridiculous amount of cats for our afternoon, both in the Mara and the Djuma. Now the hyena is not feeding at all. It's still sleeping and taking it very easy. Now, while I wait for our little leopards to move, in fact, that one's just crept up behind me. Are you sneaking up behind me? It seems as though young characters are all full of play this afternoon, so not only Shadow's cub, but the little Styx Pride cubs too. So let's jump across to Noel and see what the little ones are up to.
Alright, so we've moved around to a different position, and so there's 4 cubs in total. There's 3 playing with each other on this log, and then that 4th cub that's physically with them there is not part of the same litter. By the 4th cub, I mean that little guy, well, it could be a little girl, I haven't been able to see, that's just sort of on its ace. I would assume that that's the runt, and it's very curious that that one is not with the other 3, and of course, as I say that, it starts moving over. But notice all the bite marks on its back. Oh, hello, Mum. Yeah, definitely the runt. Let's see how the others react to her. Oh, she's going to nurse. How special. So it's possible a lot of those scars come from when this little one's trying to nurse. That the others sort of bite and push her out of the way. Oh, shame. Mum's like, it's not time. They've got sharp little teeth, little lion cubs. So it's not easy for the mums when they nurse. It's actually quite painful. And it is definitely a little girl. You can look under the tail. The one that's lying on its belly, that's a little boy. You can just see the testicles starting to drop there. just want to get my binoculars very quickly. You can also see the size of the paws of the one on its back. The feet are very large in comparison to its legs. It's another way to tell it's a male, but those testes are the best way. And then the one that's on top of him, I have a feeling it's also a male. I just caught a quick glimpse. I'm just busy looking with my binos just to triple check. Does look like a male. So we've got 2 males and at least 1 female, and then we just need the 4th one to stand up, and then we can age that. So that type of information is important to note. Any of the ecologists that are on the property, oh gosh, keep track of that. Yeah. So Taylor is up in the Mara and also has some babies that are playing around like our little lion cubs. So we're going to send you back up there so you can have a view, and we will sit tight here and see you just now.
Animals in the whole wide world, and they were being so precious a little while ago. I'm hoping they're going to carry on playing, but the 3 elephants that you can see now, the little ones, there we go, those 3, were pushing and shoving one another down hills. I heard this strange trumpeting noise, and they'd both jumped on the little one, and it was desperately trying to get up again, and it's just so precious. It was absolutely adorable, and there's nothing cuter when young animals play. It actually doesn't matter what species of animal it is, it's always so incredible. And then there's a tiny, tiny, tiny little elephant that is not even interested in playing with the others just yet. It is only wanting to follow Mom around, and it's been trying to suckle, but Mom won't stand still. So you'll see every time Mom stops, it runs up to her underneath her leg, and tries to have a little suckle. But it's not quite quick enough just yet. It's still trying to work out how to suckle efficiently. But it is precious. Mom's just on the move. She's hungry. She's not interested in anything else. But there we go. Come on, there's your opportunity. You see, it takes too long. Now, Richard, you're wondering if elephants give birth standing up. They most certainly do. Quite a few of the animals, they sort of do what's this little elephant is doing right now. But it's not giving birth, but it's about a similar sort of action. It's demonstrating very well for us this afternoon. Thank you, little elephant. So they do. So often when animals hit the ground, I mean, a little elephant actually doesn't have to fall far. I feel sorry for a giraffe. I mean, that's a long way up and a far way to fall. And it often just encourages the animal to take their first breath. I suppose it kickstarts the lungs, doesn't it? But it is very, very tiny. But you saw what I mean, though. It's not quite quick enough at working out that you must go straight to Mom's breast when you want to suckle, because she's going to just keep going. She's not going to stop. She's obviously got her mind made up as to where she wants to go, and she's got to be there by a certain time. Well, I'm just waiting for some of these vehicles to move out so we can have some fun with these lions. It's just getting a little bit busy at the moment, but everyone's going to have to head off soon, so then we'll have this whole sighting to ourselves. But we'll let all the guests experience it and have some fun. They have travelled a very, very far way to be here, although so have I, but I'm lucky. I kind of live here, don't I? Well, at least for the next, until February, which is pretty cool to spend so much time in the Mara. And we haven't had any rain, and it doesn't look like there's any rain on its way just yet either. So I suppose that's a highlight for today. It's been very nice. Although this morning it was spitting at one point, but then luckily the wind came on in and blew the clouds away. Very cool. What else is going on? There were some crowned cranes hanging around too, but they seem to have moved off. But now our herd of elephants is also moving in the opposite direction that we wanted them to move if we wanted them to chase the lions. They are now going east, where the sun rises. The lions are back that way. Right. think it's time to reposition and go and see what those lions are doing. Scott is copying us this afternoon. He can't be original. He's also found some elephants.
And we are spending some time with him in the hope that he decides to walk along the horizon where we'll be able to get some incredible silhouetted shots of him. There's a very moody sky, as you can see in the background, and he is a fine, fine specimen indeed. As you would have gathered, we left the Musketeer Coalition. They had not left the carcass by the time we left them, but we thought it would make sense to come and look for a female cheetah that we had a visual of this morning. Not too far from where we are now, but we couldn't pass this opportunity up. As it really is a beautiful, beautiful scene. Hello, Dark Star. You would like to know if elephants' tusks serve a purpose. And yes, they certainly do. Both male and female elephants will use their tusks. Oh, it looks like he is going to kind of possibly semi-silhouette himself. Not perfectly, but just about. How beautiful is this? And what a wonderful, wonderful scene. So, yes, they will use their tusks mainly as tools for feeding, snapping off branches of trees, prying bark off trees, and from time to time males will use them when they are fighting with one another. And I guess if they get a hold of us as humans, they sometimes also use them on us. So they use them as weapons, but usually they don't get into many fights with any other species. The main fights will be between bull elephants over females. And the size of the tusks, how much of an impact that has on any bull's dominance, I'm not too sure. Some tusks that are too big, let me try and reposition one more time. Some tusks that are too big may actually be becoming a bit of a burden to carry around. I'm hoping to try and still get some more low angles on him. There is a chance we could get him silhouetted. A fairly substantial loop ahead to give ourselves enough time. No, we're not going to be able to get low enough, but we'll still get some beautiful views of him walking towards us with a wonderful backdrop. Wonderful. Now, seeing as though we can't get the exact shot we were hoping for, I think we may head on in the hope that we find this female cheetah that we were with this morning. Oh, we need to rush you off to some cute cub cuteness. Cute cub cuteness.
And they are cute indeed. Oh my goodness. They're providing us with ample amount of laughter and giggles. So from what I can tell, it's looking like 3 male cubs and 2 females, which is very interesting. So the male that was in the background that we showed earlier, Jeandre and I were chatting now, Jeandre is pretty convinced it's one of the Birmingham Boys, which would make sense. And as far as I know, they're a coalition of 3. So now this group of youngsters, of the 4, 3 are boys, and will most likely form a coalition themselves. But what is also an interesting thought to think about is we've got these young cubs, and then we've got the 2 sets of older cubs, also different ages. So it's entirely possible that the males, the majority males out of all of them will form some sort of super coalition. And the Sabi Sands is known for having very large coalitions of males that traverse. We talked about the Mapojos the other day, that coalition of about 6 or 7 males that sort of rampage through the area. Chandra is giggling behind me, and yes, it's super, super, super cute. So, other than the cuteness factor, if all of these males survive, and I have yet to see the older ones move enough for me to be able to ascertain how many males and how many females, the concept that we could have a future super coalition of males within this area is absolutely fantastic in my head. Chandra, do you see the one that has a bit of bark there? So one of them has a bit of bark. Oh, it's just dropped and we was carrying it around. Sibling tried to come and take it away. I'm just going to be quiet for a minute and just let you all enjoy this. So there's thorns on these sticks that are here. These sticks that are here on the edge of the dam are brush packing the side of the dam wall so that no one drives up and down them, and also to help rehabilitate. There's quite a bit of erosion that's going on, and a lot of the sticks that are being used are from knob thorns, and so there's some serious thorns on there. So he got a little bit of tact and then decided to chew on it, and then you saw just there it got stuck in his little lip. Or her little lip rather, that's the little runt one. Michael, your question is, are baby lions born with teeth? Michael, as far as I know, they're not born with teeth, but they develop shortly after birth. As far as I know, it's hyena cubs that are born with teeth. I'm pretty sure I'm correct on that one. Sorry, I'm racking my file 13 in my brain at the moment. It's a good question. I love the questions you all ask because a lot of them it's not something that I have been able, or hasn't been asked with my guests in a really long time. So it forces me to go back through my files and relearn a lot of the information that I used to know before. It's keeping me on my toes. I like it. You must keep it up.